we'll bring Tami. We'll bring you on, right, John?
To
Okay.
Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Well,
Yay!
hello, everyone, and welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I'm spiritual medium Kelly White. Hi, everybody. Hi, John.
Hey, happy to be here, ladies. How are you doing?
Hi,
Happy Monday.
John. Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited about our guests. We've been doing a little
Oh.
pre-show before.
Yes,
I'm
we
so
have.
excited.
She's
I
been
love her.
blowing my left brain as
Right?
usual.
I know.
Well,
Well,
have friends from your neck of the woods.
before we begin with our special guest,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about real quickly about what's going on astrologically.
Please do. Yes.
Because we have the hunter moon. Every 3 years they call it a hunter moon. Sometimes it's a harvest moon. It's where it's a little lighter still, but it really is probably starts to signal the time of the animals getting fattened for slaughter. It's probably, I think, the way they came up with that.
That's
But having
difficult.
said that, this Sunday is the full moon, October 13th. So it's a full moon in Aries. This is going to be a very intense time. And as I've said all along, October is a very intense time. But this full moon in Aries, it actually signals new beginnings because Aries is new and it's about me. What about me? It's all about me. And so this new beginning is actually about you. But there are two aspects to this full moon that I want to discuss because they're very strong aspects. The first one that I want to talk about is the moon is squaring Pluto on the 13th of October during this full moon. And when the moon squares Pluto, it can be very compulsive, it can be destructive. Its deep feelings will be exposed. It could be family secrets that are exposed. It could be intense emotions, difficult to control your temper, jealousy, family secrets exposed. It's also emotional relationships, emotional struggles with relationships. And it's about trust and betrayal. So this is one aspect of this full moon that comes in. But the same time, the other aspect of this is this full moon trines Jupiter, which means that it's harmonious with Jupiter. What's important about that is that in a relationship during a crisis time, during this moon squaring Pluto, this will give the relationship, if there's a problem, it has the ability to turn it into an opportunity for transformation. So this is a positive transformation. So even though it's going to feel like you're pushed into some intense feeling, and then you come out the other side because it's a positive transformation. This facilitates spiritual growth during the next couple of weeks, actually. And opportunities are going to really open up. This is a time to redefine yourself, time to let go of your past and really move into your future. This is the time to do it with the help of this moon. Okay. Wow. So all the planets are lining up to have some fun for yourself too during this time. It's going to be a very interesting Sunday. I like to hear about everybody, how they're feeling about this moon in particular.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I mean, it sounds like it's going to shake things up, but put everything back into place where it's supposed to be, maybe?
Push us forward. Yep. Push our ass forward.
How lovely.
How lovely. Wow.
As if this year hasn't been crazy enough.
Cheryl, it's only going to get more intense.
Like in 2020?
Never.
How does 2020 sound? I know, but
2020 is going to be intense. I mean, this is intense, and I feel like I sound like a broken record. I'm constantly, this is so intense.
And that's why I've never heard you talk like this for such a long, extended time. It's almost like this whole year you've been kind of
there's no
warning
break.
us and letting us know.
No break. This really gets us to put us where we're supposed to be by 2020. So, people don't like change. It's painful. They don't like, to feel upset. And yet this is where we find ourselves in growth. But we come here to grow. We come for the spiritual, for us to have spiritual experiences to grow. So this is why we're here. Anyway, let's talk about our guest now.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So exciting.
So our guest is very special. I just love her. I met her, I'm going to say her name in a minute. I met her in Mexico, in Cancun in March with James. And I just fell in love with her. She's just terrific. I mean, You'll never meet a kinder, brighter person. She's just somebody, Cheryl, I just fell in love with. She's fabulous. Her name, I'm going to introduce everybody to Tami Hendrix. Tami is a writer, intuitive teacher. She's been an intuitive all of her life, and she's been reading energy in people and in animals from a very young age. She always understood what was going on underneath the surface, and her process is called soul speak. So I'd like to welcome
Oh,
Tami Hendrix.
Oh,
welcome, Tammy.
Hi,
thank
Tami. There
you.
you
Hello.
are.
Yay.
Hey.
Yay. And Tammy's all the way in North Carolina.
Yes, good Southern girl. A little Southern accent going on.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. I love it. Well, there are so many things that we want to talk about with Soul Speak, and you've helped me so much. I have a dog, Otis, that I've had for 8 or 9 weeks now. And out of that 8 or 9 weeks, I was gone for 4 or 5 of those weeks. So Otis and I are just trying to get to know one another, and Tami has really helped me, I have to say, with my dog by giving me all kinds of, telling me how to work with him. But Tami, tell us about what Soul Speak is. Tell us
yeah.
about what you do and how you communicate with animals, and your philosophy with it is so important.
Well, I came up with Soul Speak because I believe that communication with animals is meant to be practical, and it kind of honors the light between us all. There's really no difference, and so to me, the communication is very accessible with animals. It's not difficult. We really don't need an interpreter to do it. It's a matter of perspective and tuning in, just like you would tune into a child and be present with them. It's tuning into that animal and just being present. And in that space, you can communicate wordlessly, not just with body language, and that's fine where we communicate that way. But the animals are so expressive, and they will give you images and they'll give you feelings. And we get so hurried when we're trying to, can you do this now? Like train them into the behavior we want them to have. And they have their own minds and their own opinions, and they're very independent, and so they like to be treated as equals. And I guess I've always seen them as equals ever since I was a small child. Animals would come to me in the neighborhood. I mean, I'd go outside and I'd have different neighborhood animals just show up, and it's like we would walk together and go visit neighbors, and it was really kind of a beautiful. I had one German Shepherd that would bring me gifts. He was sort of a kleptomaniac. He would he would go steal people's things, like they'd come home from the grocery store and he would go grab a pot, some kind of something, and he'd bring it to me. All this stuff would show, like beer and
That is
and
so funny. Now, did you ever give, as a little kid, messages to the neighbors that their dog wanted to communicate with them? Or
I would always feel like I had a dog, Ginger, and she was a collie mix, and she had the motherly thing going on. So she would walk from neighbor to neighbor, go sit on the porch with the people, and so we would do that. And I feel like all the animals that came to me, they would lead me back to their humans. And there would be some communication, some kind of a interaction I would have with the person that owned this dog. So it was like they would come say, come on, let's go talk to them. And whatever was said in that communication would be, I guess, settling something that was going on at the time. It wouldn't be minor. I didn't realize that was going on. I thought that was like normal, like other kids. I played with kids, but I also understood the feelings and the thoughts that the animals had. It was very natural to me.
wow, that's so interesting. Did you kind of get known like in the neighborhood, or was it not something that was kind of viewed that way?
I don't think anybody really paid any attention to me, other than I always had like a posse around.
Yeah. An animal posse. That's
right,
hilarious.
right. And I always wondered, as I was growing up, like I would have dreams about animals, and I always wondered, like, am I a little different, or is this, does everybody have this?
Right.
And as I grew older, I realized that there was a definitely in the animal world, almost like there was a group energy that communicated with me. And so no matter where I went, animals would always show up, even with other people. And as I work now, the animals will, a lot of times people will communicate, call me for a session, and it will be about something about the animal, but it ends up really being about the whole connected picture with the person and the, what we're going through, because the animals aren't separate from that. They're absolutely interfacing with our lives very, very spiritually and very deliberately.
One of the things you said to me, Tami, which I just loved, is you said there's no coincidence in the timing of when you get an animal. Can you speak on that?
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I always tell people, pay attention when an animal comes to you, whether it's a puppy or however it comes, whether it's a rescue or you get it at the pet store, or somebody hands you, here's this dog. There's no coincidence in the timing or that animal's in your life. I would suggest to always look around. In fact, somebody just texted today that she's had these dreams for a full week of this animal that had passed. And so I asked her, I said, so what was going on around that week that you got this every day, these deliberate dreams? And it turns out that she was in a space of huge, like, looking in and making sure her life was the way it needed to be, or, was she going forward properly? And so these dreams came in from her past animal to kind of guide her and set her like, you're on the right path, keep going forward. So it's always, whether they're coming to you at any point, whether it's through a dream or in your life, there's always a connection, and there's no coincidence which animal comes in. Sometimes animals serve as catalysts in relationships, and it ends up that relationship doesn't, last, and it looks like the animals caused the upset, but it actually creates a portal for personal growth.
Wow, that's so interesting. Tell us about this dream you had.
You mean about
with Skittles or
Skittles? Yeah. So I had a cat named. Well, first of all, I looked out in my garage one day, and there's this cat named the cat, and I'm like, okay, so you're not mine. What are you doing in my garage? And he runs out. So this went on for several days, and so finally I went out there and I said, look, if you're going to stay here and you're going to eat the food, you're going to have to go by my rules, which means you're going to have to go to the vet. So I ended up getting him in a trap, took him and brought him back. And I said, okay, you're welcome to stay, but these are the rules of this property. And I named him Sneakers. And so Sneakers stayed around the property. He guarded the property, and he came in, and he wasn't terribly friendly. And then all of a sudden, and this was so beautiful, I saw him kind of like inching closer to me. And I sat out there one day, and he climbed on my back. And
oh, wow.
I was like, oh, please don't claw me to death. Because he was feral.
Yeah.
But he had made a decision in his heart to try to trust. And so that became his signature, climbing on my back, and he would nuzzle. And so this went on for like 2 years. And so one day I'm going from the house to our upper barn, and I see Skittles in the garden area, and he doesn't look well. And he kept his feral part where I just couldn't pick him up. He would have to come to me. But that day he didn't look well, and he didn't feel well. So I went and picked him up, and he let me. And then I knew he wasn't well. So took him to the vet, and he had this terrific UTI, just awful infection. And he passed while I was there.
Wow.
And I was just so shocked, because he was just gone in a second.
Wow.
And so I was so sad. And about 2 weeks later, I had a dream, and in the dream, Skittles was walking down the driveway, and I ran out the front, and I was like, Skittles, I'm so happy to see you. Oh, I've missed you so much. And he stepped aside, and there was a little black and white kitten in the dream. And then I woke up, and that was the whole thing. And so I'm like, okay, great. What does that mean? A week later, and we're fenced and gated. So my son shows up at the gate, and it's about 7 or so, and he calls and he said, yeah, there's this kitten in the bushes. What do you want me to do with it? And I was like, okay, fine. Bring him in. I'll take a look at him. He brings him in, and it's the kitten from my dream.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh. So wait a minute. So was his name Sneakers or Skittles?
Sneakers is the one that passed. I named this one Skittles. And so Skittles today is he's very much like Sneakers. He doesn't like to be touched a whole lot, and he has to allow you to, he has to be the one to decide. But he patrols the property. He climbs up in trees. He jumps on the dogs. I mean, he's total terror. You never know when he's gonna, come out of the woodwork. And this morning, oddly enough, I went out, and he was not in an area that was normal, and he streaked across the yard right in front of the dogs, got the dogs all wild, and just did like a lap around the property. So yeah, he started the day out.
Does he feel like Snickers reincarnated?
It feels to me like Sneakers sent him to take up the job that he had left to do. And I was telling John, cats are in charge of spaces. So if you think about it, Sneakers' space was the area of the property. So he sent somebody in his to represent that kind of guard on the property. So cats are very like, the proverbial cat in the barn. That's a true thing. They protect and watch over spaces.
Wow.
So yeah, Skittles, it was a fascinating story. And he does have a lot of Sneakers in him for sure.
Wow. This is so wild. And you said tell us about this, that they have a huge spiritual purpose.
They do.
Cat animals.
They do.
There's my Otis.
There you go. Right. On cue.
On cue.
Animals come in not only, we think it's about what this animal means in my life, and they do oftentimes mirror what lessons we're going through, but they have their own spiritual paths as well. Not only, just like we have our spiritual paths, they have theirs. And so some of them come in maybe to learn friendship in this lifetime. Some of them come in to learn what motherhood is. Some of them come in to learn trust. And if you think about these themes, it's a lot of what we have to learn.
Yeah.
Some of them have to learn heart opening. I had a dog who actually chewed his way onto my property. And I was like, this is not how it works. Like, we don't chew through fences to get here. And then every time I would fix it, he would come back. And so finally I was like, okay, fine. You want to stay? We're going to talk. So it turned out he had terrible, terrible heartworms. And I ended up and it was a very severe case. So I had to get him treated. And the treatment was pretty severe. And so for about a week, I didn't know whether he was going to stay or live. And I would sit with him while he was teetering between, here and the other side. And I told him, I said, you know what, if you want to heal, I'll commit to you. But I was so angry at him, like chewing his way on the property, like really, like you forced your way on. And so I had to come to watching him. And I said, you know what, if you're willing to participate in your healing, I will be right here for you. And I named him Butch because he was sort of the Butch kind of guy. His heart opening was huge.
Wow.
And if you think about it, he had heartworms.
Oh yeah. Wow. Oh, that's interesting.
And he had the biggest heart of any dog you would ever imagine. And when he passed, I felt he was sick, and he stayed down at the barn. And so I ran down. I just got this, I got off the phone with somebody, and I had this like go down and check on him. And I went down, and the animals that were in his area had made a circle around him.
Oh, wow.
And he passed in that circle.
Wow.
Wow. Were you there when he passed, or had he
I was
already
there.
passed?
No,
Yeah.
no, I was there. And typically
Wow.
my animals will wait for me to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, when you communicate with them, are you communicating through your mind, or are you actually talking to them?
It's a heart connection.
Mm.
It's a heart connection that we all have. And so I think, as James would teach it, you create that green cord of light between you and that animal. So that's always naturally there with me. And so that heart connection, that's how we communicate through that. But everybody has that ability. It's not something special. It's just that we think there's a special language they need, and it's really not. It's like empathically feeling what the other is feeling, and being so in tune to that you don't let that go. You're always present with them.
Yeah. Huh.
And you actually talk to them.
Yes.
So it's not like you're in your head talking to them. You actually say it out loud.
I totally talk to them, and they totally get it. I totally get it. When I've gone on trips, I've gotten the group together, and I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to be going on a trip. Katie, will you watch? And Murphy and what I got back was, we've got this. Go ahead and go. Like, it's okay.
That
is
is
before.
That is so funny.
Like group meeting.
That is hilarious. Let's see. We have.
They understand English.
Yeah. So let's see. Rebecca says, being a strong empath, I can feel what they feel. Do you sense more than feelings? What is it like for you?
It's such a clear connection with them that I can feel if they're sad, but also if they're having concerns about something. I can also feel that.
Wow.
I can feel if they are wanting to or needing me to help with a vet if they're in their transition stage, or if they'd rather pass on their own. So I think it's a mixture of both, actually. Just it's a whole gamut. Animals will send you images, just like with Otis. I keep getting that Mr. Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street. Where he
kind of does look like that.
Yeah, where he's just this huge energy. So they're quite comical about it. Katie once told me, I was like, Katie, this is so off. But anyway, I was like, Katie, why do you eat poop? This is just disgusting. It's just foul. And what I got back, I was sitting there and I was trying to practice, actually, like hearing them and stuff. And she was like, it's like chocolate. I was like, ew, it's disgusting.
That is so gross. So do you see the words that just kind of appear in your mind? It's like chocolate. And sometimes do you see an image?
Yeah.
Or how do you? Yeah.
Both. I'll get words and both images. I get images a lot because they're very visual as well. But they speak in energy, so that's their language. And so when I'm walking several of them out, I don't tend to. I've got one. That's slow for me. I don't travel up here to figure out if I've got them all. I'm always right here in my heart space with them. And so I energetically know that I have the little posse that needs to be there. So other people might have to say, okay, is Katie here? Is Murphy here? Is Henry? But I don't need to do that just because I naturally speak that language. To do that would be a lot slower.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so true. Gosh.
That is so interesting.
I know.
Fascinating.
I know.
Do people sometimes call you to ask you if they're going to get a dog, or do they call you like if they go, rescue? There's a lot of dogs. I mean, would they call you to consult on that level before they get one, or?
I'm actually talking to a lady right now who's had an animal who's passed, and she can feel that she wants an animal in November or December. And I, as I was speaking with her, I'm like, yeah, I think you might have one come to you sooner. So it's almost like, they do consult and they do feel it themselves. I mean, she can feel like she wants it, and she can even give me a timeline. But it's almost like the energy is orbiting around her. And Kelly, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
That is coming closer into her space, and you can pick it up more easily when that happens. And people call me also when, you know, their animal is sick, or they want to make sure they're doing the right thing, and what is the animal feeling, and that kind of thing. But you know, speaking about when they come to you, look around what's going on in your life, when they pass, again, there's no coincidence of the timing when they pass. There's look around at what stage you're in, and there's always that, because it's a collective. It's not anything separate from you.
After the loss of an animal, I mean, I've lost cats, I've lost dogs. It's just such a killer. I mean, I remember thinking each time, I can't do this again. It's just too painful. And so what do you think about timing? I mean, it's funny with timing for me, first time I think I had to wait 5 or 6 months, and well, each time it's probably been about 6 months that I waited. And it's not because I am conscious about it. It's just now that I think about it, they're just somehow it just comes that way.
Right. And well, again, I think for every person it's different. And it's interesting because when my sister passed in 2004, I grieved terribly, and I couldn't seem to pull out of that grieving. And then in September of 2005, I was coming home with my son actually from school, and this tiny little puppy was in the brush. And so I pull over, and he gets out, and the puppy won't come to him. She's like growling terribly. And so I get out, and I told her, I said, I'm here to help you. You look like you need help, and a little collie mix. And she came to me, and when she let me pick her up, and she put her head down on my shoulder right here. And for all of her life, if I ever picked her up, that's exactly what she would do. But it's the dog. What she did for me is she pulled me out of my depression.
Right.
And so she helped me see the world through her eyes, which was very childlike. And so animals, however they come, there's always that spiritual connection to us, and how they help us come in.
Each time for me, an animal has opened up my heart, and each time I think it just expands. It goes like this, and then once they go, I go, oh, I just can I do this again? This kind of expansion, you know, can I do it again?
Right. And you know, I think our hearts, there's no limit to how much they can crack wide open and expand even more. And the animals, just like children, people are undefended around animals. And so we're more easy. They can reach our hearts more quickly than, you know, a lot of times people can. And so, you know, as far as the timing goes, I remember when I had a beautiful dog named Murphy. He was a white lab, and he was like the Dalai Lama of dogs. He was so kind and unconditionally loving, very, very conscious dog. And when he passed, it was very difficult for me. And so I had a very difficult time. It was in November of 2016. So in March of 2017, I decided to post a puppy picture of him on Instagram. And it was one, he used to carry like tulips in his mouth. I mean, he would carry all kinds of things, gorgeous. And he had a little 4-leaf clover. And I remember that day, I looked and looked at that. And every time I look at it, I smile. I forgot I was grieving. You know, I grieved and grieved. But that day, I was so happy. And I just thought he was the cutest puppy. Oh my gosh. Well, that next morning, I had a dream. And in the dream, I had come home from a trip, and Murphy was waiting for me in a room, and somebody guided me to the room and opened it up, and he jumped up and down, and I was like, oh, Murphy, it's so good to see you. And I hugged his neck, and it was so very much like I was right there with him. So I woke up after that realizing I had just been with him, and the difference was I wasn't grieving that day. I had put my grief down, and my vibration raised to the level where he was and he could come to me.
Right,
So,
right. Wow.
you know, I think things like that happen, and it helps our heart heal to where another animal then can come in.
Yeah. I
Whether
think, that's
whether
beautifully said.
whether it's
Wow.
months or a year or whatever, but it's again, it's always, I always have felt in perfect timing.
It is.
Yeah,
John,
well, you have to give
Yeah.
it time. But I
are we
think
ready for a
we have
caller?
callers.
We are ready. Yeah, we have 4 callers
Okay.
waiting at the moment. So
Okay.
we can go ahead and take. All right, so let's go ahead with our first caller. We have our first caller coming from New York, I believe. And let's have your name, please. 518-819. You're on the line. Are you there?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
What's your name,
Yes,
please?
now we can.
Can you hear
Hi.
me? Hi, it's Joanne. How is everybody?
Hi, Joanne. Good. How are you?
Good. Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
I have a question
Sure.
about my crazy cat. I'm hoping that you can help me.
Okay.
My mom. These were my mom's cats. After she passed away, I got her cats. She'll be gone 3 years in December, and they were feral. They were little when we captured them, and the one was always very skittish. And I remember when she had him, he would like poop around the house once in a while. You know, I'd find it under her bed or whatever. So he's doing that here. He's good for a while. Then he starts, and it's so bizarre. He gets like this mental look in his eye, and he runs and he'll poop all over. And I just don't know what to make of it. But then he started like peeing on my husband's pillow, peeing on my husband's pajamas, and he was doing like this really bizarre thing that I didn't even know what it was because I've never seen a cat do it, but it ended up he was humping my pillow. So I took him to a vet, and she thinks it's all behavioral. And she gave me like these CBD treats, and he takes them once in a while, but I don't know what's going on with him.
Well, it feels emotional, and underneath any behavioral issue is emotional. I mean, that's, you know, you can treat the behavior, but underneath that, it feels also to me like he doesn't quite know his place. Like, what is he supposed to do? And with his earlier situation, did he have more structure than he does now in his life? Like, did his life change?
I actually think he's better now. He seems to like, he's not as afraid of everything. He still runs and hides. Like if we have, you know, people over, but he comes, you know, if the dogs come near him, he's getting better. Like he'll let them near him. You know, he lays with my husband and I, where before when my mother had him, he would go to no one but my mom.
Right. How is he with the other cats? Didn't you say there were a couple others? Or is he just the only
there's two. They're great together. They're nuzzled butt to butt right now in my bed. They're good together. I think there's definitely like a jealousy thing between them. As soon as I start talking to one, the other's got to come and, you know, push him out of the way, like, hello.
Right. Is there any, so I feel like, again, if you go back to the cats or, you know, space, this is they're very space oriented. So they like to have their own space. Is there any space you would call that's just his, or it's just a collective space that he exists in? Because it feels like he's trying to create his own space.
He loves our bed. Which I remember him doing with my mom. He likes to be under the blanket on the bed.
Right.
You know, he goes under the covers, but, you know, nothing like waking up to poop all over your feet, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And it almost feels neurological as well. Like he just can't, like all things aren't firing properly for him in his needs. And the others are not doing this, correct?
So how come he can control it? How come he can control it sometimes? It's really bizarre.
Well, I feel like like I said, I feel like it's like things aren't firing at all times for him. Like, how old is he?
Yeah.
How old is he?
They're 10.
Yeah. He feels like he's going through some changes neurologically. And so whereas things were balanced before, they're not quite as balanced internally for him. I don't know if I'm wondering if a flower essence would help him. I don't know if I know you're doing this CBD thing. I've had really good success with flower essences with my animals, and in lots of different situations. And I used a couple of different sources for those. Green Hope Farm in New Hampshire is a really good one. And you can email them actually and say, hey, this is what's going on with my animals. And those flower essences get put in the water or on the pads or, inside the ear. And that helps with balancing things within them. If you're introducing a new animal in the area, they have different essences for that. It feels like he needs some extra help that the others don't need. He feels like he interfaces with the world differently.
Yeah, we always thought he was a little off,
Okay, yes, that's what I'm picking up.
Compared to the others,
Yes, yeah, he is.
But it's hard because, of course my husband gets angry,
right.
and I'm like, these are my mother's cats, they are going to be with us forever,
Right. Well, you've made a commitment to him, and he knows that, and he's not doing it deliberately. He's not doing it maliciously. He's not doing it to get attention so much as it is just kind of things aren't all firing in the same way they used to, even when, and like you said, it's a little off. I'm trying to think how you can minimize some of that behavior. I don't think it'll go away.
Okay.
I do feel like, go ahead.
Why would you be humping my pillow? I've never seen that behavior in a cat ever.
You know how some animals lick a paw? It feels like it's almost a nervous, kind of a soothing thing for him. He's trying to soothe himself internally. That's what it feels like. Like it's a nervous tick kind of thing. So I do feel like he's going through some changes within his brain, within his system. And that's why I think I would definitely look into the flower essence.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Joanne. I appreciate that.
Like, what do they think that he needs?
Do what now with the flower essences at Green Hope?
Yeah, is there different ones? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, you email them basically, and you can send a picture with it and just say, hey, here's my animal, and this is what I'm experiencing. Do you have a recommendation for a flower essence? And they work with angels. It's very beautiful property, and people that run it. And they actually won't take credit cards. You order it, they send it to you, and you send them a check.
Okay.
It's amazing.
And you said Green Hope Farms?
Green Hope Farm in New Hampshire, and you'll see pictures and everything, but they'll be able to tune in and know which flower essences would work well with your cat. And like I said, I've used flower essences for 20 plus years.
Wow. But thanks.
That's interesting.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate the call.
I feel so bad because I talked to him, after he'll poop, and I go, Mickey, come on, we got to work this out. You can't be, and I can see like he feels bad.
Right. No, he doesn't understand why he does it. In other words, he doesn't mean to do it. I know. And so your understanding and your kindness goes a long way toward helping him not feel like so awful about himself, because he's not trying to be bad. He's really not.
So Green Hope Farm.
Yep.
Check in with them and let us know how that goes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you for your compassion.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, John.
Thank you enough. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Yeah, let's wow, we've got several calls coming in. So just a reminder, let's try to keep them a little brief because we have only 10, 20 minutes left of the show. We need a half hour more to go over all the calls we've coming in. But we'll go to our next one, who's been holding for quite a while as well. This is an 801. I believe this is Angela. Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Good.
How are you?
He's doing good.
What's your question?
And I wanted to ask about my dog Bingo. She's obviously perfect.
Obviously.
She's getting older, and I just wanted to know if she needed anything as she kind of ages, or I don't know, just from me.
Is Bingo your like is Bingo your right hand? Like, is she with you a lot?
Everywhere I go, she's my shadow.
Yeah. She feels like your wingman, kind of like always there with you.
She is my wing woman.
Yeah, wing woman. That's right. There you go.
That's funny.
She feels to me, she's telling me that she's very in tune with you, and that you understand her. And also I'm getting, I don't know why this is, I'm getting clouds. So I don't know if you two have looked at clouds recently. Or let me dial.
Laid blankets out. Looked at the clouds.
No, what did you say about clouds?
Her and I laid a blanket out on the.
Oh, that's what she's trying to draw my attention to. Okay. Wow. She says that you're going to know if she needs anything and not to worry. Hang on. How old is she?
We're not quite sure. We think about 12.
Okay. She's like, I'm very like smart for 12. She's, I'm very clear for 12. Yeah, she knows who she is. Yeah, no, I get
sheriff. She's very knows who she is and what's going on, and she's
yeah. She's like, I've got this, and she is so appreciative of you being in tune with her and caring enough to ask, because so many people don't, and she really respects you for that. I get an image of her snuggling with you. Does she do that a lot with you?
Yeah, we snuggle a lot. I bought her a recliner, so when she wants to really sleep, she goes on a recliner.
Right.
That's hilarious.
You know, she
when
feels
I
like
I was volunteering at a shelter, and I picked her up, and she just hugged me, and I knew that was it. It was it.
So you do know, and see that connection was instantaneous, and that connection will always be there with you two. I get okay, so I don't know why this is coming in. Forgive me, but is there some reference to soup? Do you eat soup with her? Or she watched you eat soup. I just saw a bowl of soup, like Campbell's soup. Is there some kind of where you've taken her anywhere and gotten any soup?
I think.
You what? What'd you say?
I think my husband's making soup.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
That's hilarious.
She's validating Tammy right now. She's like, I am the reporter here.
I was like, soup. Okay, fine. I'll tell her. But okay, you better. She seems extraordinarily clear and at ease. And she says, yeah, okay. She's like, I'll tell her if I need anything, and she'll totally get it. I don't feel like she feels like you're going to misread her.
About the soup. That's what she's saying. She's like, hey, I'm telling you something right now.
Right.
All right, it works.
My dad's making soup up here.
Well, maybe she wants some of your soup.
That's too funny. Wow.
No, it's wonderful to see the connection that you two have.
Yeah.
That's great.
And as far as any kind of help, you could probably get some flower essences for her too, just as a supportive measure in any areas. I don't get the sense that she's, I don't know. I don't get the sense that she's aging very much. Would you say that she's young for 12?
I was just going to say that she's a very young 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
She said she is.
a lot, and we're always together. I'm trying
Yeah.
to work her into the treadmill right now.
Yeah, no. Dogs, it's interesting. People, when they start looking at ages, oh, my dog's getting older. When they come to me, they get younger. I mean, and they like go on and on and on. So that's what she's giving me the indication of. Like, she's planning on being here a while. She's not feeling old. She feels very young and very youthful. If you want to get her any kind of supportive, flower essence, that's always good. It's never a bad thing to do at all. Flower essences work as much with just supporting well-being as they do to address certain issues that we might have with our animals. But no, this connection you have with her is really, really beautiful. She's extraordinarily a direct communicator.
Yeah, obviously.
Good.
Wow.
Thanks.
That's
Thanks,
great.
Angela. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
calling.
So much.
Oh, thank you.
Angela.
Thank
Love
you.
the call.
Yeah.
Love you all.
It's great.
Thanks.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right. So we're getting a couple of questions too. I want to get to the questions as well. Are there any essential oils that are harmful to dogs? Because I know that I've heard about, be careful about running your, what is it? The ionizer or your what is it? The
Well, surely you and I both
The
have one.
diffuser?
Diffuser.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because apparently what I've heard, and now this is just, I don't know if it's true, but that the vapor gets in the air, gets on the pet's fur, and then the pet will lick it off. And so there's certain, like, cats can't stand
that makes
citrus,
sense.
and things like that. And I love lemon, so I really want to,
Me too.
run the lemon just for my well-being, but I don't want to put my cats at risk. So, have you heard anything about that? And
I don't use essential oils with mine usually. So if it were me, I would probably look it up first and see what I can find on that. Yeah, I just haven't had any good experience. I could help you with that.
Okay. So that was Nancy's question, but I also wondered about.
I would definitely look it up.
Okay, so essential oils are then different than flower essences.
They are. Flower essences
are
just
I see.
little droppers, and you just put a couple of drops in the water. In fact, I have a dog that I've had. He came about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, and I emailed Green Hope, and I was like, I feel like he's going to end up being great friends with Cookie, and we named him Finn after Huck Finn. And so I said, but I don't want to force any relationship. And so anyway, they ended up giving him an essence that dealt with abandonment and friendship and things like that. Things that kind of calm their electrical system down and make them more, balanced. And they do it for people too. I mean, if you need one, you can call or email and say, I'm going through this transition in my life, and they'll do a custom essence for you. I can't say enough good about them. It's a gentle way to help animals ease into any well-being, and people too.
Well, I'm going to do it tomorrow with Otis.
I was going to say that might be good for Otis. Definitely.
That would be great for Otis. And it's great. They have a formula where when the animal is transitioning, where you can start giving them that, or when a new puppy comes in to help the adjustment. So yes, Otis would be a really good candidate for that.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Good.
So John, next call.
You got it. Yes. So we're going to go to 805. 418 is on the line. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from? 805, are you there?
Hello.
No, probably. Well, it's been holding for quite a while. So let's move on to area code 845. 845, you're on the line. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Hi, Elizabeth from New York.
Hey,
Hi, Elizabeth. How can Tami help you today?
Get on here all the time.
Yeah. Good to have you calling in. Do you have a question for Tami?
I do. I was wondering if she had any insight to what is wrong with my dog.
Okay.
I have a Westie. She just seems to go through. Hi. She seems to go through these phases where the skin breaks out and she just doesn't want to eat, and she's just not well.
How old is she?
She She is going to be 11 in January.
I think she's probably as confused as you are about it. So you say her skin breaks out?
Yeah. She gets it like all her mucous membranes, like her lips get crusty and her eyes and her butt and her little pish. Everywhere there's mucous membranes.
Okay, what I'm getting immediately downloading is her system's changing, and she's she's extraordinarily sensitive. So not only in her body, but she's emotionally extraordinarily sensitive in her. And have you had her since she was a puppy?
I have, yes.
Okay. Would you say that she was a sensitive little girl?
Well, she's got some spunk.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's a Westie. Yeah, she's a Westie.
But I would say she's sensitive to foods and things like that.
Right. She feels to me like how can I say this? She tunes in to her world, and it's almost like she's picking up a lot of things that other dogs wouldn't. So that when I say she's sensitive, she's highly aware of other things going on. And granted, she's the Westie Spunk. I used to have a couple of Westies. They're wonderful, wonderful dogs. But they're also extraordinarily sensitive internally, and they tend to reveal it in their skin as well. That's a very common way they manifest it. And they do get, as they change, she feels like she's
in my house.
Go ahead. What did you say?
Could she be like stressed out? Maybe I have spirits here. Are they bothering her, or?
I feel like she can sense things around her. And so, do you talk to her about the spirits? Have you talked to her at all about it?
No, but I tell them to leave her alone when I leave the house.
Got it. So there may be some.
No, I have them on audio slamming drawers and things, so I don't know what's going on here, other than when I audio record it, it's not good. It's
oh my,
and drawers slamming and stuff. So I was wondering maybe if that was stressing her out.
Right. Well, she's picking up. That's what, when I asked you if she's sensitive, that she's picking up things that aren't normally seen to other people, and she's internalizing them, and then they come out in skin issues. Kelly, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that. That's exactly what it would have been, because she would want to be able to, at least see or control something in her environment. And when things like that start to happen, you don't have any control. I think it does go right into her psyche and into her her skin. And I would definitely give this Green Hope Farm a big shout out. John, we should put them on our site.
I'm putting that right now. I'm grabbing.
Good.
I would definitely get her involved there, and maybe one for you too. Do they do for humans, right? They do for humans,
totally. Yeah, totally. I've got one in the house right now that I'm using. It's a custom essence, and I cannot say enough about the purity of their product, and they'll listen well. They really take it in as to what's going on.
Wow. And I think probably Elizabeth, with the case with your dog, is that she is taking it in, actually, whatever is going on in that energetic field, she's picking it up, and it's just coming right out. Oh, good. Green Hope's essence.
There you go. There you go. That's it.
Thanks, John.
Have you always had, how long have you been living in that home with the spirits there?
We've been here for about 21 years, and they've been here since we moved in.
Yikes.
Wow. An old general store.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. The house was built back in probably 70s, 1880s.
And Elizabeth, have you ever brought in a medium or someone to help with the exit process or crossing over process?
I haven't. My husband's like, nope, And I'm like, come on, you know.
He'd
and
rather
he
deal
just
with
won't
it,
allow
or
it.
does he not believe?
I'm sorry?
Would he rather deal with the disturbances, or does he not believe in the process?
He actually lately has been believing more so because he's been experiencing things himself. Like the other day we were watching TV and he heard something in the kitchen, and I see him like look over and he's like going, what is that noise out there? You know, and you could hear rustling and like papers and
Wow.
like
Yikes.
just weirdness, you know.
I'd be
and,
burning some Hollywood and clearing some space for that animal. I would
a cat?
Yeah.
I would get a cat too for clearing the space.
There you go.
I would have
So
moved.
true. Right on, Cheryl.
There is just
It falls under. There's just no time for that, right?
Elizabeth, we're going to have to contact you for later this month when we do more shows. Kind of
I was
about
thinking
this.
for Halloween, John, we'll have to do a show on
I
that.
know, like for Halloween and stuff, we've got shows
Yeah.
coming up about like, you know, shadow work and also about
Yeah.
spirits and all of that stuff. So we'll look into this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll
Sure.
love to have you
Yeah.
back for that. So thank you so much for calling.
Yeah,
We're running out of time, unfortunately, but I hope that helps. I put the website up. It's Hope Farms Essences, or sorry, Green Hope Essences. I'm sorry. Yeah, greenhopeessences.com. Yeah.
right.
Okay,
Right.
we'll definitely look into it. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. All right, so ladies, we're
Thanks, ladies.
running out
Thanks.
of time. I don't know if we have time to
No.
go over. It's up to you. And let me know.
Do you want to do one more? Do we have time for one more call? Quick one?
Yeah, well, let's do one more.
Okay, a quick
Okay,
one.
we will try.
Is that
to
okay with
connect
you?
with-
It's okay with me. Is it okay with you, Tammy?
fine
Yeah,
with you,
it's
Tammy?
okay with me.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to 805 and see if she's unmuted. 805, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for
hello.
holding. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you for taking my call.
Sure
I
thing.
love this subject.
Is this Susie?
This year, yeah, Susie.
Hi, Susie. Good to
I've
have
called
you.
in many times. One of
Susie
my
works with
cats
horses.
passed away early this year, and I am just missing him big time. And then soon after, I adopted another cat, and he won't let me hold him very much. And he's just a character. I was just wondering what you have to come up with.
So, if I understand correctly, you had a cat that passed earlier?
Yes, my Wasabi, he passed away probably February, March.
Oh, boy, I feel he's still present. And then you adopted one? You had another one? I was trying to follow that.
Yeah, I couldn't stand being alone in the house.
Right.
So about a week or two after, I went to the animal shelter and adopted another cat.
And you're saying he won't let you hold him very much?
Well, he'll let me hold him for a short amount of time, and then he wants down.
Right.
constantly.
Right. How old is he?
What's going on with him?
Yeah, how old is he?
How old is he? Three?
Yep.
3 years old?
Three. He's definitely going through some personal transformation, and he was you were guided to him by your earlier by your cat that passed. So I feel like he's doing a lot of work with that cat, even though while he's with you now, I think for him, he can only take so much closeness before he has to get down and shake it off. It's not personal to you. In other words, he's learning how to open his heart. And so sometimes animals, that we can hold them, and then that's all they can take right then. They have to get down and have some space.
We call that avoidant personality disorder, right, Cheryl? I had to throw that in.
He's so connected with this cat.
I feel like each
Well, I
time,
catch him looking at the ceiling, and I'm thinking, is Wasabi here? Is he
yeah. There's totally a tag team effort going on here, and he's working with this cat to integrate him with you. It may take a little time, but each time you hold him, you're sharing your heart space with him. And I would hold him and just imagine your hearts connecting. Even, do a green cord of light from his heart to yours, and just be appreciative for however much he'll let you hold him. And if it's only 2 minutes, thank him for allowing you to do that, because tell him how special that was for you, and just keep appreciating that. And I feel like he'll start to trust a little bit more, to be more and more time, and eventually open up more. But that's what you're doing. I think you're transferring that heart energy to him, and just be patient with that.
That's great for all of us to know, Tami. That really helps me with Otis, actually.
Yeah.
Getting that green heart connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's non-threatening to them. They understand that, where somebody might, previously have grabbed him, and he kind of like, with you being patient with your heart opening, just completely relax when you hold him. And it doesn't matter whether he's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 30, he's getting a tremendous benefit from it. Beautiful, beautiful.
But in terms for Susie and needing that affection, Tami, would you say, I mean, obviously to do that, and it's going to take some time, for him to be more maybe receptive and all that. But would you say, like for me, because I had that same situation with the cat that I adopted, and it was right after I went through a grieving process a long grieving process with my cat before I got another one, and she was very difficult. It was very easy to approach at the shelter because she wanted to get adopted. Brought her home, and it took a long time before I could even get close to her. Now I brought in a second cat, and that's very affectionate, and when he wants to be, but especially as a baby, because he was more of a kitten, so more of a bonding kind of thing. Like he was on the kitten toddler, right on the edge there. But what happened was when I brought this other cat in, it made her a little bit more wanting to get closer to me. And so I'm just curious if maybe Susie brought in another cat, which is always an iffy situation, but you always have to do that process properly. If that would help, because I think Susie really needs that affection. I know that's what I really missed from my,
by myself.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly where you're coming from, Susie.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Animals teach other animals, and they see it's okay when somebody, and again, in your case, John, the first cat got to see the other cat. Oh, that's how you do it. It's okay. And so that gives them more confidence that it's okay for them. And they still may be a little bit shy, a little bit more introverted. But yeah, no, I agree. That may be an option for her. Work with this one a little bit longer and ask this cat, would you like a friend?
Yeah.
Would you like a friend?
There you go.
Yeah, I was thinking about a second cat, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I would know that each time you touch him, that this, first of all, you're just giving him a tremendous gift in your heart to his. Tremendous.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Susie, for your call.
Thank you.
Yeah, Susie,
thank
you
you for
very
taking
much.
my call.
Oh,
I
yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Wow.
Thank you, Tami. I mean,
Yay.
so enlightening.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, Tami, in terms of people getting in touch with you for sessions, Soul Speak sessions, I put your website up, and also there's a lot of comments in here that we didn't get to, and we got as many calls as we possibly could. If you could go through the comments and
sure, I'll be happy to.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
And Tami's a part of our group, folks. So join our Both Sides Now community group. And interact with Tami there too as well, and we will do a secondary show on this. There's so much more to cover. You'll love it.
There's so much to cover. Tami, thank you so much for coming on today. So appreciate it. Just terrific.
Thank you so much, Tami.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everybody.
And thank you, John.
My pleasure. Everyone, take care. We will see you next week. Same place, same time.
Okay.
See you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world.